Today's subscription spot, we're having another look at the Baker's Krate, natural, local, and fresh, delivered right to your door. One good thing about the Baker's Krate is not only are you getting delicious treats every single month, but you're also supporting local bakeries, at least here in Canada. The new box has arrived from the folks over at Baker's Krate. I believe this is Baker's Krate for March. I'm going to get this opened up and find out what's inside. Some caution though, does contain or may contain traces of nuts, wheat, soy, dairy, eggs, gluten, seeds, and other allergen. So if you're allergic to any one of those, fear not. At least the ingredients are showing you inside which things may contain that you can stay clear. I always have the running gag that my allergy seems to be desserts because every time I eat them, I get overweight. I looked it up. Apparently it's not an allergy. Who would have thought it? Anyways, let's grab a knife. I'm going to grab Hank here. And we're going to cut the tape just on the front here, just like that. Open it up and see what we got inside from Baker's Krate. We're treated immediately to some nice tissue paper in green with the Baker's Krate sticker across the top. Let's open it up. Celebrating a luck of the Irish. This is wishing you a pot of gold and all the joy your heart can hold. Happy St. Patrick's Day from Baker's Krate. The back tells us the places where they are coming from. For Lee's Bakery, for example. The Black Walnut Bakery Cafe as another example. Itty Bitty Pie Company. Heather's Bakery Cafe. And the Wooden Spoon. These are all the places that they're coming from. They also take the time to give you some websites. Lee's.ca, the Black Walnut Bakery Cafe.com, Itty Bitty Pie, I like that name, .com, HeathersBakery.ca, and the Wooden Spoon Bakery and Cafe.com for Baker's Krate. Included as well inside will tell us exactly what we're going to be getting inside. So, for example, a Score cookie bar will be treated to you, a St. Patrick's Day cake pop, a Rice Krispie square, but it actually says PB, peanut butter, oh, peanut butter, Coco Coconut Pie in a jar, and a Florentine. And there's the back of it right there. It tells you the ingredients and tells you the expiry date on all of them. Ha ha ha! There's no such thing as an expiry date on baked goods in my household. They last a couple of days, if any. All right, so let's go ahead and where do we start? It's kind of everything's kind of buried. It's like digging for a sweet buried treasure. The first one we're looking at is the Black Walnut Bakery Cafe's Florentine. Just before we actually have a look at this, I think this is the Florentine. Nice thin and crisp slices of almond made with into a unique brittle and then covered in chocolate. Let's see there. Does that look like that? Or would you think that, oh, maybe this is the Score cookie bar? Vanilla and toffee infused cookie bar, I'm thinking that's what it is. Covered with melted chocolate, then sprinkled with Score bits. Yeah, those look like Score bits to me. All right, so let's go ahead and open it up. Take the wrap off. That prevents us right now of biting into it. I could have just bitten into it now, but of course I'd have all that plastic in my mouth. Nobody wants that. Some people though just can't wait. So they delve right into it. I've done that myself, eating something that's wrapped in a paper, like a little paper wrapper. Before I know it, I'm eating paper. I'm like, why is this tasting different all of a sudden? Oh, right, I'm eating the paper. Then I feel like such an idiot. All right, so there it is right there. You can see the cookie bar on the underside there. Looks like tectonic plates of the earth. Multiple layers of flavor and goodness and delight. Chocolate on top, Score bits on top of that. That sounds like a winning combination to me. Let's go ahead and take a bite. Tell you what I think. The Score cookie bar. Here we go. That's actually got a good bit of texture to it. When you bite into it, it doesn't have nearly the soft, pliable texture to it that one would expect. It's got a slight bit of a crispiness in there, like it's almost like a little bit of a harder, yet still soft, might add, like a harder shortbread. The chocolate on the top is a nice touch. Of course, score bits go a long way in my household. That's really good. Not overly sweet either. That's the key. If you keep the sweetness on the down low, it will mean you can eat more of it, which I guess could probably be a bad thing as well. Let's see what else we have in here. This would be the PB Rice Krispies Square, which I might also add. Read Up says, this is not your ordinary everyday Rice Krispies Square, it's way better. Sink your teeth into a ton of marshmallow, decadent chocolate, and of course peanut butter. PB. PB, no jam. No jam here. Just peanut butter goodness. And this came to us from Lee's, by the way. She was nice enough to put her label on the front. And let's just delve into this, shall we? Well, I can tell you, it's a lot denser than a regular Rice Krispie treat. I love Rice Krispie treats. I would cross the road, a dangerous commuted road, to the other side if the other side was a big plate of Rice Krispie treats. That's how serious I am when it comes to Rice Krispie treats. Let's give this a try. The PB, peanut butter that is, Rice Krispie Square. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad. It's very dense though. The peanut butter has kind of taken all the light, sticky, airy feelings and textures of a regular Rice Krispie treat and has kind of bogged it down a little bit with that peanut butter. The peanut butter adds a nice flavoring to it, but on contrast though, I don't know if it doesn't have enough marshmallow, but it doesn't feel like, or it doesn't taste overly sweet. I expected it almost to be sweeter, but it's almost like they added more peanut butter and less sugar. I suppose I shouldn't be complaining about that because it's not a sickly, overly sweet treat. I feel like maybe just a little bit more marshmallow could have gone a long way, and maybe just tone it down, and I can't believe I'm saying this, just tone down that peanut butter just a little bit. Still good though, if you like peanut butter, it's sticky, it's everything a Rice Krispie treat should be, but I feel like it just doesn't have as much the sweetness or that vanilla flavor that one would come to expect with the marshmallow, as much as I had hoped. Put that to the side. I'm putting it to the side just so basically I don't get crumbs and debris everywhere here. Moving along, we have this is the Heather's Bakery Cafe. Now this here, there's no denying it, this is the Florentine. Nice thin and crisp slices of almond made into a unique brittle and then covered with chocolate. Let me level with you though, I'm not normally a big fan of almonds, so I don't know if I'm going to really be digging this all that much, but for the greater good, it's the least I could do. I'll give this a try. Spot, you are such a hero delving into a dessert like that for the viewers. Yes, I know. We have to make sacrifices from time to time. My sacrifice will be trying this still likely to be very delicious treat, the Florentine. You can see the chocolate is already starting to melt on my fingers. There's the almond slices on the bottom, the chocolate on the top, and a little bit of white frosting to boot. Let's give it a try. I have to admit, I'm not really crazy about that. If you ever delve into the realm of brittles, if you ever enter Brittle Town, no, it's not the town where everything's falling apart. The brittle tends to have a slight bit of kind of like a golden, not to the point where it's burnt, but if you've had brittle, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's where the sugar has caramelized and it leaves almost like a goldeny, not burnt, slight bitter taste to it. And if you've had brittle, you know what I'm talking about. You got the peanuts, which is generally a thing that you find with most brittles. Here in this case, it's swapped out for almonds. The almonds don't really add much sweetness to it. The chocolate does, but then it's got that very familiar brittle flavor to it. Of course, swapping out from peanuts and swapping in almonds, it's still a very distinct flavor of brittle. I'm not a big fan of brittle, so by virtue of that, I'm not super crazy about this, but that's just my own personal opinion. If you like brittle, I think you'd like the more airy, lighter flavoring that has these shaved almonds rather than the peanuts. Of course, the one thing it doesn't incorporate is that distinct peanut flavor, which I like about peanut brittle. If I do like a peanut brittle, but 9 times out of 10, I generally don't. Next, we are moving on to the Irish Pop. This is the St. Patrick's Day Cake Pop. A delicious moist chocolate cake mixed with creamy chocolate icing, dipped in white chocolate, decorated to suit the St. Patrick's Day occasion. Comes to us from the Wooden Spoon. You know, I don't know if it's just because it's green, I automatically think, maybe I think Shamrock Shake. But I think if it was a St. Patrick's Day Pop, having it with a mint flavor, I think could have gone a long way as well. Just that little subtle bit of a mint would have been quite nice, quite splendid to say the least. And we're just going to open this up. Try not to make a mess everywhere. We're already making a mess everywhere. Try not to make further a mess anywhere. Here we go. Just going to wipe everything up. So there's the Cake Pop. St. Patrick's Day, I think more so just in the coloring. If it's just a moist chocolate cake mixed with creamy chocolate icing, I don't feel as if that's probably going to have anything distinctly St. Patrick's Day to it. But nonetheless, let's give it a try. Again, for the greater good. For the greater good. Let's give it a try. That's really dense. Pardon spots, excessive chewing there. I always find with the cake pops, I don't know if it's just because they're smaller, that they have a higher moisture content to them, but they're very dense when you're eating them. It doesn't have nearly the light airiness that a slice of cake tends to have, where basically you're taking all the virtue of a cake and you're concentrating it into this little gemstone sized pop. I think maybe the culprit was more so myself and not so much the cake pop. So much, and I ate so much all in one go that I found myself really disappointed in myself that I took such a big bite in the beginning, because I realized there was a lot of excessive chewing that was involved to basically remedy all the... I've taken about half the bite. The chocolate is really rich. The outer coating of the white chocolate is a nice touch. I feel like with St. Patrick's Day, they could add just a little bit of mint, just to incorporate something a little extra to it, as opposed to having it just starkly chocolate, and then just the white chocolate exterior to it. It's still not bad, but as most cake pops go, it's very dense. Very, very dense. Good though, don't get me wrong, but there's just a lot of extra chewing to kind of get broken down that cake center. Lastly, the very last thing inside the baker's crate, I'm dropping all this graffiti everywhere. We have the Itty Bitty Pie Company. This is the Coco Coconut Pie in a jar. Chances are you have not tried anything quite like this before. This is just one of those many unique and delicious flavors that you'll find available at the Itty Bitty Pie Company. I hope, oh no, I hope, and they did not. I would have hoped that they had included that spoon. You know, sometimes they had the little spoon fork on the top of it. Because inside, we've got, well, it kind of looks like a butter tart, to be honest. I might actually have to just, I didn't even have a spoon or anything prepared for this. I think part of me thought that the spoon was going to be included, so I didn't actually take the time and get one from downstairs. I really should have. This is going to be so excessively messy. I'm not trying to make a mess of things. I'm actually just trying to break a piece off here. Gonna just try to break off a piece. It's not the most polished way of eating this or consuming it, but let's give this a try. The Coco Coconut Pie in a jar. On Spot's finger, Let's go. Let's do this. Flavoring wise, it kind of tastes like a macaroon, which a macaroon is essentially just like coconut mixed with chocolate, and it's usually prepared in like these little balls. And my mother used to make them. I wasn't crazy about them then. Sadly, I'm not crazy about them now. Mound, Joy, Almond Joy, I should say. Those are the things that I try to not avoid, but it's something I don't necessarily go to if I'm picking out a candy bar. What this is a very buttery pie crust with the equivalent of a macaroon inside. Dare I almost say, like a broken record in this review, I'm not personally crazy about macaroons, but I am somebody who will at least give something a try. I won't pick off ingredients and then try to give it a try. I'll try to give it a try in its full virtue. Honestly speaking, I'm not crazy about this just because I don't really like macaroons all that much. The pie shell, that little butter tart shell, gives it a nice added touch. But to be honest, the interior has more a macaroon flavor. It's not really something that's of my personal taste. I think of all the things that were inside this particular box, let's see, let's kind of examine this again. I think my favorite might have actually been the PB Rice Krispie Square. Now, even though it didn't have the sweetness that I was hoping it to have, or actually even the Score cookie bar, these three were my favorite, of the 5 at least. These two I'm not as crazy for, but that's one of the benefits of the Baker's Krate is that you get just a selection of different goodies. Not one goodie, not 2, but in this case 5. As well, you can also be supporting your local, in this case here in Canada, your local bakers out there as well. Today, though, we were having a look at the Baker's Krate Natural Local Fresh. This was the Baker's Krate for St. Patrick's Day or March 2017. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more subscription spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.